Well, it's the difference is night and day. I'm a completely different person outside the ring. I'm not an aggressive guy. I'm not a mean guy at all. You know, if anything, if you like see me or ask around, I'm probably like the nicest person you guys would ever meet. But once I get in the ring, there's a whole different story. My philosophy is always treat people how I want to be treated. And, you know, I treat everybody with love and respect until we get into that ring. You know what I mean? And when I get into that ring, that's when my mentality in the ring is kill or be killed. 100%. So it's funny, it's two different mentalities. Outside the ring, treat everybody how I want to be treated, and inside is kill or be killed.
The Mexican monster is unleashing his darker side, sending a chilling message to Canelo. For Benavidez, the ring is a battlefield where only one man can impose his will, and he's prepared to bring relentless pressure from the opening bell.
But that's where it was from. It's from that, because I never went into a sparring session like this is a sport. I went in there thinking I'm a Roman soldier or I'm a warrior. And I'm trying to go for the kill every time. That's how I fight. And that's where that comes from. And it's never gonna change because that's just who I am. And that's the trigger, and also the other trigger is the people always doubting. There's always people talking shit. There's always, I can't do this, I can't do that. I get in the ring and I make these people look like how they look, and they have nothing to say.
And David Benavidez isn't backing down from that mentality. He believes his character, confidence, and competitive spirit will reveal exactly what he's made of when he finally faces the best opposition in the sport.
Everybody, if you guys doubt me in anything outside of the boxing, never doubt my character, never doubt my competitiveness. You know, I have the spirit of a warrior, and I'm, you know, extremely excited to show you guys against all the best fighters in the world what I'm really made of, because this is what I'm here for. This is my destiny, and I'm not going to stop until that's done.
Benavidez argues that the matchup carries too much financial upside to simply dismiss. He questions whether Canelo can really justify turning away from a fight of this magnitude, especially when a potential reward extends beyond money to the legacy implications of facing one of the most dangerous challengers of his era.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I feel like Canelo's a fucking pussy. That's just my opinion, because if we ever fight, the man is making well over $100 million, you know what I mean? So if, let's say, he's saying that I don't have nothing to offer, that I'm nobody, that I need more experience, this and that. If you're gonna make $100 million fighting somebody that has no experience, that he sucks, this and that, all this shit that they've been talking about me, why would you not come beat my ass and collect a big bag on my head after the fight?
Canelo sees the situation from a very different perspective. Rather than simply accepting Benavidez's continued pursuit of the matchup, he points to the different paths both fighters have taken and questions why the fight remains such a major focus.
Every fight is calling me out, no? Obviously, they looking for the payday. No, it's a reason they always calling me out. But you know, when we are like both in 168, I fought every champion at the division. I say to myself, why he never fight those champions? And then if he was a champion at that point, I fight him, because my goal was being on the spirit. So right now it's just impossible.
Benavidez has a different assessment. He identifies a potential vulnerability in Canelo's approach when facing physically imposing opposition. He believes his athleticism, pressure, and relentless pace could force Canelo into a completely different kind of fight than he is accustomed to.
But Canelo Alvarez, as you can see from every time he fights a guy that's big with power, like Bivol, you know what I mean? And he's not able to suppress these fighters as much as he's able to suppress the little fighters. You know what I mean? So he sees a lot of things in me that he can't stop. You know, not only does he see speed, does he see power, but he sees a lot of heart in me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm going in there and I want to prove myself to the world that I'm the greatest fighter. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't scare me to get in there with another great fighter, because I know that elevates me and who I am as a competitor.
Max Kellerman sees a major stylistic and physical challenge for Canelo against David Benavidez. He argues that the matchup presents a completely different kind of problem, with Benavidez's relentless pressure and high punch volume potentially making the fight especially difficult for the Mexican star.
Canelo, it seems to me, had a good reason for ducking Benavidez, even if he couldn't articulate it exactly, which is, this dude is not really in my weight division.
Right.
He makes the weight, but oh my God, he's twice my size.
And we see Canelo with Bivol, and you seen what that looked like. He was a bigger guy, right? And now David Benavidez, you put him in his spot? What you think that's gonna look like? And I love Canelo, but
yeah,
he's a smaller dude that took on bigger guys.
That's my point to styles, though. So Canelo looked at Kovalev and Bivol and thought, I can beat these guys.
Yeah.
But he looked at David Benavidez and he's like, no, style-wise, this guy's all wrong.
Yeah, right.
It's too much. It's suffocating pressure, and it's the volume. And this kid has so much heart, such a chip on his shoulder.
The physical demands could be even greater. Malik Scott and Max Kellerman point to Benavidez's ability to close the distance quickly while maintaining constant offensive pressure. His physical strength and relentless attack could force Canelo into a demanding fight where defensive discipline and precise adjustments become crucial.
It's not because he's a hard knockout puncher. It's not because he's so big. Actually, it's the speed. And Benavidez has speed. And he constantly coming with the demeanor, big man pressure. He fights a lot.
That he has better than Chavez is a speed. For a pressure fighter who goes to the body, you also have to deal with long arms and hand speed. And that's kind of a new thing.
Too. And volume. A lot of volume.
Teddy Atlas praises Benavidez for the mentality he brings into competition, viewing it as one of his defining strengths. That confidence has shaped the way he approaches demanding challenges and continues to influence how he carries himself when facing top-level opposition.
I always loved him because of his attitude on top of that he'll fight anyone. Old school. You know, he puts his money where his mouth is. He wanted to fight Canelo, he's ready to fight Canelo. You know, he didn't get that, then, you know, he goes up to light heavyweight. And he wins the title there. And then he goes up to cruiserweight. He'll take fights that, at least on paper, are risky fights that a lot of people wouldn't take. And he'll take them. He puts his money where his mouth is. He has the true confidence that you want in a champion. He believes in himself that he can beat anybody. And he shows it. And he's willing to make fights that can really leave him a great legacy by having that attitude.
Atlas also highlights another dimension of Benavidez's game. He points to an additional weapon in David's arsenal, emphasizing how quickly he can change the intensity of an exchange. That ability to suddenly increase his output could create difficult moments for any opponent trying to maintain control.
The secret's out. I don't think everyone knew that this is a guy who is explosive in burst. The way that, you know, you might be in a certain part of the country that is prone to cloud bursts of rain. Like in the middle of the day, all of a sudden, boom, there's a burst of torrential rain. And then it stops. And then boom, there's another one. That's Benavidez. He is explosive with his hand speed, with power, and just his knack, his instinctual knack to know when to explode.
That brings the focus to another major challenge for Benavidez at cruiserweight, where Jaio Petai'a has emerged as one of the division's most intriguing tests. Matejka respects Benavidez's mindset and views the matchup as a serious challenge. Both fighters possess the tools to push each other to their limits, creating a balanced clash where neither man can afford to make mistakes once the action begins.
I actually don't mind Benavidez, you know what I mean? Like he's, the way he holds himself, the reason he fights, you know, he's chasing legacy. You know, he talks about him and his old man, and he opens up about, you know, some of his, you know, the life he sort of lived. So it's actually a little bit similar to mine, you know, my dad being my coach, and you know, so I can relate when I hear him speak. You know, I know that feeling. I know, you know, the father being the coach and boxing since you're a little boy. So, you know, it's respect, but at the same time, bro, it's I feel like it's an awesome fight.
Not everyone is convinced Jaio Petai'a is ready. Jose Benavidez Sr. remains cautious about how prepared the Australian is for the toughest challenges. He points to moments when Petai'a appeared to lose some of his sharpness despite remaining in control of the action. Still, Benavidez Sr. sees no reason for David to hesitate if the matchup eventually comes together.
Petai'a, you know what? I think he's a great fighter. I met him at a fight. I want to give a big shout out to Petai'a. I think he's a great fighter. He's doing well, and I think he still needs the experience, you know? His last fight, I think he held back. He looked a little bit tired. He was struggling in there. He did win the fight to me. I mean, he did win pretty much all the rounds. But, you know, I just think that he needs a little bit more experience. You know, we'll fight him tomorrow. Not a problem. Like I said, we want to fight him. It's a fight that people want to see.
And that skepticism goes even further. Jose Benavidez Sr. remains doubtful about Petai'a's readiness for the highest level, pointing to vulnerabilities that have appeared against lesser opposition. He recognizes the Australian's talent, but argues that Opetaia still needs more time to develop the experience and composure required for elite competition. In Benavidez Sr.'s view, that experience gap could prove significant when Opetaia finally faces truly proven opposition.
You know, to be honest with you, Opetaia, I think he gets hurt every fight he fights. He gets hurt with fighters that are not even known. I think he needs a little bit more experience, and I'm gonna say the same thing like David Morrell. Everybody said that he was the next big thing and that he was gonna make David look like an amateur, this and that. You know, he doesn't have the experience that David has. I think he is going to be better in about 3-4 years more. You know, I think he's lacking off experience a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter. He is going to be a great fighter. But right now, he doesn't have the experience that David has.
Andre Ward sees Jairo Pereira as the more compelling option for David Benavidez at cruiserweight, where the division already has an established force and a rising challenger. He views the matchup as a natural collision between proven status and emerging momentum, making the weight class an especially intriguing path for Benavidez.
Yep, I agree.
And I like the fight with Jai. I think the Jai Opetaia fight at cruiserweight is the fight for me. That's the fight that I want to see. Jai has been the man at that weight class for a very long time. And now you got a new player in the division with a hot name and whose stock and whose star power is only rising. That's the fight I believe that needs to be made at the cruiserweight division. We'd love to see Bivol, but for some reason, the light heavyweight division just is not as appealing to me right now for David Benavidez. And again, I'm not sure that that's the right weight for him to fight, being that he's fought this weight and looked the way that he did. I think it's cruiserweight or maybe go up and fight Alexander Usyk.
From a stylistic standpoint, Coach Bredman sees another potential problem. He considers Jai Opetaia a particularly difficult opponent for David Benavidez because of the unique physical and stylistic dynamics he brings into the ring. Opetaia's athleticism could force Benavidez to approach the fight with greater caution than usual. That creates an intriguing tactical question before the opening bell, with the answer ultimately depending on how well Benavidez handles everything Opetaia throws his way.
Well, Opetaia is big, fast, and explosive. And David has good defense, but he's not unhittable. So the fact that David started out at 168 and Opetaia started out at 200, Opetaia, you know, I didn't think Zurdo could do anything with David because he's just too slow getting off, man. You know what I mean? Like, everything is not about speed, man, but when the speed difference is that big, you gotta have some kind of like masterful timing or jab or something to offset that. He's just too slow. Opetaia not slow like that. He's twitchy, he's fast, and he's explosive. And David gonna have to be careful. That boy will hit you with a left hand, he can knock you out. And he's a southpaw, so he'll have some built-in advantages. He's just it's not a skill thing. He's a different level athlete than what El Zurdo is.
Coach Bredman still gives David Benavidez the edge. He sees Benavidez as the more complete fighter in terms of overall boxing ability, while also recognizing that Jai Opetaia presents a different kind of threat because of his physical gifts. The matchup could become much more complicated if Benavidez struggles to impose his preferred style against an opponent capable of challenging him physically.
And he's young, and he's mean, and he's going to be fighting hard. I think David might know a little bit too much for him. I think he might be a little bit too skillful for him and be a little bit too slick, but his raw athleticism and punching power is something David gonna have to be careful with. Remember the Morrell fight where David was winning rounds, but Morrell was shaking David up because he was big and he was strong and he was like physical with him. He was shaking David up with some punches, if you remember that fight. It wasn't a thing where Morrell was winning more rounds than he was, but it was like a danger, like, yo, I just can't do what I want to do with this guy because he's so big and he's so strong and he's fighting.
Andre Durrell argues that the matchup could ultimately come down to how effectively Jai Opetaia manages distance against David Benavidez. He sees movement and disciplined positioning as potential ways to disrupt Benavidez's offense, but that approach would require a precise tactical plan from the opening bell. With Benavidez constantly applying pressure, the margin for error could be extremely small.
If Jai can use his feet collectively, stay out the way. I've seen fights with him where he lasts a whole 12 rounds continually moving after getting dropped or hurt. You know what I'm saying? So he has the ability with his legs, right? If you can continually make David have to reach for you because he can't simply walk to you and get the shots off, then he's going to have a problem. Why? Because he's going to take chances, right? Now, Jai doesn't have the jab that I want him to have, and that's really going to set up the big shots because it blinds a lot of, you got to blind him with that jab. Keep that jab in his face, making it hard for him to see the the shots coming after. And if you can keep that distance and cause him to have to take chances to land those shots, then David is going to have the problem. So Jai has the feet.
Andre Durrell admires the pace David Benavidez brings into his fights, but questions one area of his technical game. He believes Benavidez could face problems when dealing with an opponent who uses movement effectively. That weakness may become even more noticeable against a fighter like Jai Opetaia, who is capable of constantly changing angles and forcing his opponents to adjust.
12 rounds strong. I'm amazed by David Benavidez's energy, man. His last fight against Anthony Yarmus, like, man, this dude is like a damn robot. Damn, this boy can go. He is full of energy, man. But he's technically flawed. David has no feet whatsoever. Period, point blank, man. And don't need him at this point. And once he gets in there with someone who's willing to use their feet, then he's going to see where he needs to capitalize with his feet.
Timothy Bradley sees David Benavidez as the kind of opponent who can turn Jai Opetaia's mobility into a disadvantage. He expects Benavidez to keep closing the distance until Opetaia is forced into more exchanges than he wants. Bradley believes the physical demands of the fight could gradually wear Opetaia down and change the way he operates as the matchup progresses.
David Benavidez beat Jai Opetaia. Hell yeah, he beat Opetaia. Oh, I'ma double down. He gonna beat Opetaia. I double down on that one. He gonna beat Opetaia. See, Opetaia got good feet. Yeah, he can box, but he can be drugged into a fight. And if you know anything about David Benavidez, just like he did with Ramirez ass, he's the one of those guys that's gonna test your heart. He gonna test what you have in here. And once he go to Jai's ass and he tests what he has in here, Jai gonna lose his shit. Jai ain't gonna be boxing and moving around. Jai gonna be looking to fight. Jai gonna get tired too. Yeah, because Jai, if you look at the history of Jai Opetaia, he get tired. Yes, he gets tired. Period. And I stand on that.
Sergio Mora views Jai Opetaia as a rare matchup for David Benavidez, not simply because of his size, but because he brings a completely different kind of threat. Opetaia's southpaw stance could force Benavidez to deal with angles and openings he may be less accustomed to handling. That combination gives the Australian a stylistic advantage that could make this matchup far less straightforward than it initially appears.
Opetaia is stronger. Pound for pound in punching, Opetaia punches a lot harder with one single shot than Benavidez. He's a harder, heavy-handed puncher. He's a southpaw. He has better feet than Benavidez. He's just as mean as Benavidez. That would be violent, man. That fight would be violent.
You think Jai Opetaia is as mean as Benavidez?
100%. Oh, man, yes. Look at the look in his eyes every time he does an interview. We've interviewed him.
Chris Mannix raises another important question. He sees plenty of ability in Jai Opetaia, but questions whether his resume has fully tested those skills against the highest level of opposition, leaving a major unknown heading into a potential matchup with David Benavidez. Mannix sees Benavidez's hand speed and Opetaia's movement as two contrasting weapons that could ultimately shape the tactical battle.
I'll say what I've always said about Jai Opetaia is that, like, I can see what you're seeing. I can see the tools. I just haven't seen him implement them against great fighters. His best wins have come against one guy, and that was the faded version of Maurice Breedis. Since then, he has not fought top guys. He has been clipped when he was fought his last fight in Australia, took some shots in that fight, and couldn't get Brandon Glanton out of there. So, like, I think he's a good fighter. I just have not seen greatness from him yet. I've seen greatness from David Benavidez at 168, less so at 175 because he only stayed there for 3 fights at a time, and then straight up to cruiserweight to fight Sergio Ramirez. I think the hand speed would be a big problem for Jai Opetaia. I think at some point you have to get on the inside against Benavidez, and I think he'd have problems with
And
it.
I think the footwork of Opetaia will be big problems for Benavidez.
Sean Zittel takes that uncertainty seriously. He views Jai Opetaia as the most intriguing obstacle in David Benavidez's current path. Rather than dismissing the matchup, he recognizes that Opetaia brings enough ability to make the size difference a complicated factor, putting even more pressure on Benavidez to prove he can handle a cruiserweight with this level of overall skill and ability.
Well, that's what Jose Sr. says, but he is the best cruiserweight in the world. And he's unlike David, who's still a little soft at 196. Opetaia is built, athletic, punches hard, southpaw, has good feet. I'm picking Benavidez against the field, but these are extremely Bivol and Opetaia in particular with their with their skill and their
with
movement.
the amount of everything that they have
is very difficult
in terms of size, but also what they bring with that size.
But that guy's a special talent.
Yeah, straight up.
Not saying they're not, but he's
straight up.
He's, you know,
straight up.
But you got to prove it.
Yeah.
Got to prove it.
Yeah.
Robert Garcia sees several possibilities for David Benavidez. He views him as a fighter with multiple intriguing options before eventually making the move toward heavyweight. In his opinion, taking on a few high-level challenges could further strengthen Benavidez's credentials. But the bigger question is how far he can push his ambitions once those tests are behind him.
Benavidez is the real deal, man. That motherfucker is a monster, bro. I think he's got a couple fights that I would love for him to do. Maybe at that same weight, or maybe go down to fight Bivol and Benavidez. And the other one is what that other cruiserweight that signed with Sufa.
Jai.
Opetaia,
yeah.
I don't know if that fight could even be done now that he's with Sufa and what belts they're gonna fight for, whatever. I don't know. But those are 3 fights that I would like to see Benavidez take. But then after that, he's ready for the heavyweights, man. He's ready to fight Usyk.
But not everyone believes Canelo should remain the focus. Bernie the Boxer argues that Benavidez should be putting his full attention on the cruiserweight landscape. He questions why Benavidez continues focusing on Canelo when major challenges are already waiting in the division he now occupies. In Bernie's view, Benavidez should be calling for the biggest cruiserweight fights and making a championship run his top priority.
Well, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm just telling you how I feel. That's he weak as for that. This nigga never gonna not say Canelo. Nigga, you can't talk about nobody else, nigga. Nothing. That's what you have been saying. You should have said Opetaia. That's what you should have said. I'm here at cruiserweight. I want the champion. I want to be the champion. I want to be the champion. I would have loved to fight Bivol and them, but they was doing busy. Yeah. I would hope that I want to be the champion. I don't never hear him talking about that. You never hear him go viral about talking about I want Bivol. I want better be. Like, I gotta do whatever I gotta do to get these guys in the ring. He never talk about how scared they are. He never make no shit about them. Oh, they scared of me. Oh, they don't want to fight. He don't say shit about that. Never. All he talk about is Canelo. Get off his dick.
Before Benavidez makes any move beyond cruiserweight, Schofield sees Opetaia as a compelling test. The matchup carries enough uncertainty to make Opetaia a genuine threat. Even though Schofield gives Benavidez the overall edge, the real question is whether Benavidez can establish himself against the best cruiserweights before looking toward the next stage of his career.
I don't even really know the top guys.
That Jai Opetaia cat,
I think that would be a great fight. I think before he would go to heavyweight, I think that would be the fight that needs to be made. I think Jai has a good chance too of possibly winning. You know, like really? I said, yeah, I think it just comes down to who shows up that night, for real. But I just don't think David will really have. I mean, I think Jai Opetaia, like I said, he could beat Benavidez, but it all depends who comes in better that night. But I would definitely favor Benavidez. But I just don't think he has. I think he would have more comp at heavyweight.
If this fight finally happens, can Benavidez's relentless pressure and physicality overcome Canelo's experience and elite ring IQ, or will Canelo's adjustments be enough to neutralize his biggest strengths? Who do you have winning if these two finally meet inside the ring? Drop your prediction in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more boxing breakdowns and fight analysis.